Good morning, everybody, and thank you for having us here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about pediatric esophageal atresia, and this particular defect is something that newborns have in a very small, thankfully, a very small percentage of the population, and I'll give you a little bit of a description of what that is. But one of the great things about working for Cook, being a private medical device company, is that we get to work on certain diseases that aren't very common. So whereas we of course have to run a business and we of course have to create innovation to build our business, there are certain diseases that we can pick and choose that aren't that common and allows us the opportunity to address those niche needs. Pediatric atresia doesn't happen that often, like I said, and it's less than 4,000 cases in the US. But it is something that is extremely disruptive for these infants, and so therefore it's something that we try to attack in terms of the disease. So what is it? This particular shows a diagram of 5 types of pediatric atresia. So the blue figure there is the trachea, and the brown figure, the top part is the esophagus, and the bottom, of course, is the stomach. And in many of these cases, the esophageal and the stomach lumens have not connected. So there's a gap between the two. And some of the times there's a fistula between the esophagus and the trachea, and sometimes there's a fistula between the lower part of the esophagus and the stomach to the trachea. The ones that we really have been attacking is type A. So this is a particular procedure that is done, and it's called a Fokker procedure, but it basically creates an incision to bring the two types, the upper end of that esophagus and the lower end of that esophagus, and puts in a tensioning member to bring it together and try to bring those two ends and create a anastomosis, which is to connect the two ends together. But like I said, the type A is the more common aspect that we are trying to attack, and we've done about 13 to 14 patients with this particular type of atresia. And like I said, it's only about 8% of the cases on that side. So what is it that we're doing? So we have a technology where if you take 2 magnets and put them on 2 different sides of the lumen, these 2 magnets over time come together and join the two lumens together and create an anastomosis, again, which anastomosis means to connect the two tissue and create a lumen that's communicating between the 2 lumens. So it takes about 7 days for this connection to happen. And so when you put in the upper part of this oral catheter, as you see through the mouth, and on the figure, the item 1 is the magnet end, and then on the bottom you see this peg that's punctured through the stomach and is anchored there, and there's a magnet at the figure marked 3. And so over 7 days, these ends of 1 and 3 come closer together, and then they connect, and the baby is able to feed after that connection happens. So here's a video of one of the cases that was done in Raleigh. Dr. Hooper is the one who did this procedure.
Esophageal atresia is very rare. It only occurs maybe 1 in 5,000 births or deliveries. Babies like Annalise, who are born with no connection, have 2 ends of their esophagus that don't meet. Typically, we would open the chest and go in and stretch the 2 ends together with stitches. This is the first time it's ever been done in the United States where we're taking an esophagus that's never been operated on before, and we're fusing it without surgery. This is novel. This is cool. This is new.
36 hours after the magnets were placed, we found that they were actually together, that they were connected.
once the magnets are out, that day she was taking milk. And now we have this beautiful little girl who's running around that wants to eat pizza all the time.
It meant less time in the NICU. It meant a less invasive procedure. I just couldn't see anything but positives.
Thank you very much.